All right, hope you're not too tired of speeches. I've been thinking about what I would say to you guys since the day I found out this speech was a possibility for me. I could take this time to give you an inspirational speech concerning life after high school. I could stress the new opportunities that the world holds for us just outside these doors. I could even express how all of this hard work will pay off and take us to what great futures we're destined for. But I'm not going to do any of that. Those are the very words we've been hearing since we received our ACT scores last spring. And how can I spend this time discussing our inevitable futures when this may be the last time I see many of you? We have our entire lives to think about what the future holds for us. However, this is the last opportunity to embrace what attending Genoa-Kingston High School is given to us. Whether you'd like to admit it or not, there's something incredibly unique about this community as a whole. As I stand up here, I'm not addressing a sea of unfamiliar faces like I would be in the majority of the surrounding communities, but rather the group of 161 faces that are a constant reminder of my home and have been since I was 6 years old. Regardless of if we have had many interactions in the past, don't doubt for a second that seeing you in the real world wouldn't bring me comfort knowing where I came from. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about the quote, "It takes a village to raise a child." And if you've lived here your entire life, you would know what that statement means without having to look it up. It means not being able to drive downtown without waving to at least 5 oncoming cars. It means not being able to step out of line because you know that if you do, your uncle and his friends will catch word of it up at Hills. And before you know it, this entire town will know about that speeding ticket. It means riding your bike up and down Main Street, not having to be afraid about strangers approaching, because this place is safe and it's taking care of you for as long as you can remember. As I look out to you, I'm not looking at a group of well-dressed strangers sitting at a graduation ceremony. I'm looking at the faces that sat across from me in Mrs. Larson's kindergarten class. Faces that stood in line with me for the zipper at Genoa days, and faces that I've seen nearly every day for my entire life. We've been here throughout all of it. We've seen each other through those dark 5th grade music classes when Mr. Mullins took our chairs away for misbehaving. And then later, when we were stripped of our lunch tables and left to sit on the floor freshman year. We've watched each other emerge from the 7th grade awkward stages. And if yours were anything like mine, they were pretty awkward as they involved the shared infatuation that Brand Ventica and I had with the Jonas Brothers. We made it through our very first slow dances during teen nights at the Park District, and even through Miss Chronopoulos' live birth video. We helped each other grow from the prepubescent finger-painted versions of ourselves that sprint around the baseball diamond on field day into young adults that are ready to take on the world in one swift movement. With the school this small, it's safe to assume that we've all had some sort of impact on one another's development. Whether that influence is minuscule or inexplicably vast, it's part of who you are. This place, these faces, it's all engraved in your being and will surely play a part in who you are as an adult. It's somewhat ironic because the majority of my high school career, I haven't felt the least bit of sentiment regarding this place. I was like many Genoa-Kingston High School students, cynical, because let's be honest, there's not a lot for a teenager to do around here. However, it wasn't until I thought about leaving that everything started to come into perspective. The values and emotions that you experience living in a small town are unlike any other. I'm unsure if I'll ever experience the pride I see in all of your faces on the night of the homecoming game, as we crowd the bleachers and scream until our throats get tired. Or the friendliness I witness on a daily basis as I pass over Sycamore Street and examine the crossing guard who's handing out cold juice boxes to the 4th graders walking home from school. Or what about the sincerity that I find in the kind faces of people like Tyler Dugan and Kevin McIntyre, who go through life with such a positive attitude and smile on their face? Will I ever again feel the loyalty that the teachers in this district have invested in teaching us concepts that will help us through the course of our lives? Honestly, I feel so fortunate to have met Mrs. Fruit, who not only took it upon herself to introduce me to my love of science, but to also befriend me and offer her advice and support in making some of the biggest decisions of my life. I cannot thank her enough for all the guidance she's provided throughout my 4 years here. And what other community has all of this to offer? And where else can I find people who I have such a strong admiration for? From this point forward, we're free to do whatever we please with our lives. I hope all of you are incredibly successful regarding your professional goals. But more so than that, I hope you all utilize this time where you're free of obligations to do things for yourself, travel, meet new people. When you're 68 years old and retired from whatever you've been doing, I hope you look back on the opportunities you took in order to make yourself a happier person. These past 4 years probably won't be the best you'll ever experience. Who would wish to limit themselves to high school? However, I hope that memories of home will always bring a smile to your face. I hope you think back to Sal Lopez shouting clever one-liners every morning, taking everybody out of their 9 a.m. misery, or attending a class that's constantly interrupted by Paige Keegan's enormous outburst of a laugh. I hope your mind is flooded with flashbacks of Mr. Pierce's moral-invested rants and Miss Church's heartwarming comic relief. I hope that when you come back for Thanksgiving 5 years from now, you'll be happy to see one another. And most importantly, I hope that being together will still feel like home.